It was a non-contact scramble against the Chargers. Patrick Mahomes planted his left foot, the knee buckled, and 76,000 people at Arrowhead went silent. That visceral silence represents the potential write-off of a $500 million asset. The diagnosis, a torn ACL, officially ends the 2025 season. But while fans mourn a lost Super Bowl run, business analysts are watching a massive financial stress test. This injury isn't just a tragedy, it's a case study in high-stakes risk management. We need to analyze the immediate revenue evaporation, the hidden insurance mechanics saving the salary cap, and why the Chiefs front office might still be winning the financial game. Let's look at the immediate cash flow impact. For the first time since 2014, the Chiefs are missing the playoffs. In the NFL business model, the regular season covers your operating costs, but the postseason is where you print pure profit. Player salaries are fully paid over the 18-week regular season. In the playoffs, players receive significantly smaller, league-mandated bonuses paid from a league pool, not the owner's pocket. That means the gate revenue from a home playoff game is almost entirely high-margin profit for the ownership group. By missing the postseason, the Hunt family effectively loses two potential home dates. Between ticket sales, premium parking, concessions, and stadium merchandise, a single home playoff game generates between $15 million and $30 million in gross revenue. That is immediate cash that simply won't hit the ledger this January. This is a direct hit to the bottom line that no amount of regular season success can offset. Then you have the erosion of the dynasty premium. The Chiefs have been operating as a global marketing engine, fueled by the Mahomes, Kelce, Taylor Swift trifecta. That engine just stalled. When a team misses the playoffs, the national merchandise sales velocity drops off a cliff. We aren't just talking about jerseys. We are talking about the licensing fees and the retail footprint that shrinks when you aren't on TV in January. Industry estimates suggest a cooling dynasty can see a $5 million to $10 million dip in short-term merchandise and sponsor activation value. Partners like State Farm or Adidas pay for visibility deep into February. When the asset is sitting on a couch in January, those sponsors often look for make goods, credits, or additional inventory to make up for the lost exposure. Finally, look at the local market average revenue per user. Historical data on dynasty teams shows a 10 to 20% drop in local broadcast ratings and engagement when the team is eliminated early. This impacts regional ad rates for the following season and lowers the leverage the team has in local partnership renewals. You are looking at roughly $40 million in immediate revenue evaporating because of one ligament. It hurts the bottom line, sure, but here's the reality check. $40 million is a rounding error. It's a painful quarter, but it doesn't threaten the franchise viability. The real financial terror isn't the lost ticket sales or the unsold jerseys, it's the risk attached to the underlying asset, the quarterback's contract. The Chiefs have committed $450 million to one human being, and that human being just suffered a major structural failure. To understand why the Chiefs aren't in a complete panic, you have to look under the hood of the most unique contract in sports history. When Patrick Mahomes signed his 10-year, $450 million extension, the headlines focused on the $500 million total. But the real genius was in the structure. This deal is built on what are called rolling guarantees. In a standard NFL contract, a player might have 2 or 3 years guaranteed at signing. In the Mahomes deal, the guarantees vest years in advance. For example, his salary for 2027 might become fully guaranteed in 2025. This mechanism was designed to lock the team and the player together forever, making it prohibitively expensive to cut him. But it also created a massive liability. If Mahomes suffered a career-ending or career-altering injury, the Chiefs would still be on the hook for hundreds of millions of dollars in future payments for a player who couldn't take the field. This is where the invisible machinery of NFL finance kicks in. The Chiefs front office, led by Brett Veach, didn't just sign the contract, they insured the asset. Specifically, they purchased a massive disability insurance policy covering up to $140 million in injury guarantees. Most fans assume player insurance is just for the player's benefit, but in the era of mega contracts, the team is the primary beneficiary. Here is the counterintuitive reality that separates smart franchises from the rest. These insurance policies don't just save the owner cash, they save the salary cap. Under NFL rules, if an insurance policy reimburses the team for cash paid to an injured player, the team can apply for a salary cap credit equal to that reimbursement. It is essentially financial alchemy, turning an insurance payout into competitive roster space. To see why this matters, look at the disaster that unfolded in New York. When the Jets traded for Aaron Rodgers, they restructured his contract to create a 2-year, $75 million guaranteed window. However, reports indicate the Jets did not secure a comprehensive insurance policy on that restructured deal, likely due to the high premiums associated with an older player. When Rodgers tore his Achilles 4 snaps into the season, the Jets were forced to pay out roughly $37 million in cash, with zero financial recourse. They ate the cash loss, and more importantly, they ate the salary cap hit. There was no relief, no credit, and no way to sign a high-end replacement. It was a total loss of capital and cap space. Compare that to the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals are historically known as a frugal, cash-poor franchise because the Brown family's wealth is tied almost exclusively to the team. Yet when they signed Joe Burrow to his massive extension with $219 million guaranteed, they secured one of the largest insurance policies in league history. Why? Because a cheap team actually has the most sophisticated risk hedging. They cannot afford to pay $50 million to a quarterback on IR and another $50 million to a replacement. The insurance policy is their liquidity survival plan. The Chiefs operate the same way. If Mahomes misses significant time in 2026, the policy kicks in. The insurance company writes a check to the Hunt family to cover the guaranteed salary, and the NFL allows the Chiefs to credit that amount back to their salary cap. This concept of cap space out of thin air means that while the team loses the player, they gain the financial flexibility to sign a legitimate bridge starter, something the Jets couldn't do. The insurance policy transforms a financial death sentence into a manageable roster problem. While the insurance policy secures the financial floor, the ceiling for the 2026 season is now complicated by the most terrifying number in professional football, $78 million. That is Patrick Mahomes' scheduled salary cap hit for the upcoming season, the highest single-season cap charge in NFL history. Before the ACL tear, the plan was obvious. The Chiefs would do a standard restructuring, converting that massive base salary into a signing bonus, spreading the hit over the remaining years of the contract to lower the 2026 number and free up space to sign receivers. It's the kick the can down the road strategy that has kept their dynasty window open. But a torn ACL changes the calculus of kicking the can. The Chiefs are currently projected to be roughly $34 million over the salary cap. To get compliant, they need to restructure Mahomes. However, restructuring a player with a severe knee injury is a massive gamble. When you convert salary to bonus, you are pushing dead money into future years. If Mahomes returns to form, it's fine. But if he returns as a diminished player, if the knee robs him of that magical escapability, you have essentially mortgaged your future cap space for a player who no longer provides elite value. The injury forces the front office into a brutal decision. Do they double down and restructure, betting everything on a full recovery, or do they eat the massive $78 million hit in 2026, accept a rehab year with a depleted roster, and keep their future books clean? This puts immense organizational pressure on Andy Reid and general manager Brett Veach. For 5 years, the Super Bowl or bust mask has hidden the roster's deficiencies. They have sacrificed depth to pay top-heavy contracts, relying on Mahomes to erase mistakes. The injury rips that mask off. Without Mahomes playing at an MVP level to cover the cracks, the lack of depth at receiver, tackle, and secondary becomes fatal. The front office now has to build a roster that can win without Superman, but they have to do it while carrying the most expensive contract in the league on their books. Despite this grim operational outlook, the long-term franchise value remains surprisingly stable. The Chiefs are currently valued at roughly $6.2 billion. You might think a season-ending injury to the face of the league would tank that valuation, but sports franchises are valued on long-term revenue multiples, not single-season results. Because the catastrophic financial injury was insured, the asset is considered damaged but protected. The Hunt family isn't facing a liquidity crisis. They aren't facing a cap-ruin scenario like the Saints or the Broncos post-Russell Wilson. The valuation holds because the risk management strategy worked. The Chiefs paid millions in insurance premiums over the last 5 years effectively to buy permission to survive this exact scenario. They bought the right to have a bad season without entering a total organizational rebuild. The ledger for 2026 will be ugly, and the product on the field might be mediocre. But the business of the Kansas City Chiefs remains bulletproof because they treated their quarterback not just as a player, but as a $500 million liability that required a hedge. Ultimately, the Chiefs lost a season and roughly $40 million in immediate revenue, but their insurance infrastructure saved the long-term viability of the franchise. That is the critical trade-off. In the high-stakes business of the NFL, a torn ACL is a tragedy, but an uninsured contract is gross negligence. The Chiefs avoided the latter. If you want more breakdowns of the real money behind the game, make sure that you subscribe to Revenue Racers right now.